All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. College football rivalry week is here. I got to say that slow, or else it's going to sound like word vomit here. But yes, rivalry week is here. Damn it. And it should be a super fun one. This is one of the best time of year. This is like the climax. This is the peak, in my opinion, of college football. It's kind of at the core of why the sport is so great is this week in particular. So we have a lot of good matchups to talk about and some edges, some model picks as well. You guys know the drill. We're sitting here, guys, week 14, 59.2% year to date in the model's performance, 61 and 42 overall. I talked about it last week. I mean, we have a bit of we have a bit of volume this week in the CFB. I think we have 6 total, if I'm not mistaken. But we're on track and we're on trajectory to end the year profitable with the model's performance on the weekly spreads here. So very happy with the way things are at. Hope you guys have been making some money with us along the way. I know our subscribers have rather, if you've been with us all season long. So very excited to be here in week 14 in that position. One other thing, guys, before we get the show kicked off, Thanksgiving is here. It's around the corner. Like I mentioned, if you're a subscriber, you're making money with us. We are super grateful for everyone who's been a part of this journey, and for anyone who might be on the fence about it. We've been on this show talking about one of our newer products. Our CBB model and packages are available on our website now. And guess what? One time only. Special for Black Friday, we are giving a 50% off code. Use BTB Friday on our website, btb-analytics.com. That will get you 50% off any order. That's a monthly package, that's a weekly package, or even the season-long package. So you can really lock in a ton of value now. We're early in the college basketball season. There's quite literally, guys, still thousands of games to be played. So use code BTB Friday, 50% off any order. And let's lock in a good season for college basketball as well. So,
yeah, all right. And all the NFL and college football, right? You get the rest of that too if you get the combined package. So this is our biggest sale we've ever had.
Quite literally, yes. So excited for that. Want to try to make it feasible and attainable for pretty much any type and style of better, no matter your unit size. So happy Thanksgiving to all, man. All right, boys. Rivalry week. Again, I'm going to butcher that a few times as I say this, but it's here, boys. We got a lot of good matchups to talk about. Let's not waste any more time. First one on our deck. Let's move and talk about Georgia going against Georgia Tech here. Market standpoint, Seth, this one opened minus 13 in favor of the Dogs. Now it looks to have moved up to a 14 where we sit here in the week. So having a two score spread like this from the Georgia Tech's perspective, I'm wondering, like, is their offense, we know it's good, but is it good enough to test that Georgia defense and to pull out a cover? I mean, or even, dare I say, a possible upset in this one?
Yeah, and this game has always kind of been the Georgia's, I don't want to say Achilles heel, because it does seem like they come out victorious, but they rarely cover. Last year going into, I think it was 8 overtimes in order to win that game. So Georgia Tech took Georgia all the way to the wire. This is an interesting game, in my opinion. Georgia is the 23rd best passing offense, the 44th best rushing offense, but Georgia Tech's defense is really nothing to fear here. Georgia Tech is 97th against the pass and 94th against the rush. Now, on the other side of the ball, the thing that for me makes this game quite interesting is Georgia Tech number 16th passing offense with Heinz King and number 29th rushing offense. So I do think that this could potentially be a shootout. And when we look on the defensive side of the ball and points per echo, one of our favorite defensive statistics, both these defenses kind of suck at stopping teams from scoring. 4.9 points per echo for both of these teams. I'm not sure that Georgia's defense is also something that Georgia Tech is fearing here. And I think Heinz King could be or might be in a situation where there's a big bounce back here based off that kind of letdown where they were a shoe-in to go to the ACC championship game, but they kind of let that slide to Pitt. So I think this is the last game potentially for Heinz King. And I don't know, that to me is a bit of a wild card. He's played this Georgia team really competitive pretty much his whole career.
Yeah, makes sense. And Steve, I mean, to further to Seth's point there, I think Georgia, specifically in our numbers, they're 57th against the pass. So not terrible, but certainly not elite by any means. If it's going to be if this is going to be Haynes King's last game with Georgia Tech, do you think that defensive his can get enough stops against Georgia? Because yeah, Seth was alluding to it as well. Like Georgia Tech on defense is not. It's not an ideal matchup for them, obviously, going against this Georgia team. So how do you think about those two things?
Yeah, I don't think it's an ideal matchup for going against any team, quite frankly. I mean, we talked about this last week.
Fair.
I mean, this is one of the ones where Georgia Tech had a chance to win the ACC, secure their spot in the college football playoff by just beating Pitt. And then in the blink of an eye, they were down 28-0 to Pitt here. And so it obviously went on and had a kind of a comeback, but they also lost that game. And so this is the one where I'm like, if that was the game that mattered, if that was your season, because clearly this is not a conference game, then if you're Georgia Tech, then, what are you really playing for? And listen, this is a rivalry game. I mean, this is called the clean old-fashioned hate series, right? So, like, if that tells you anything that you need to know about this, it's that these teams are going to get up. So I'm not suggesting that the Yellow Jackets are just going to lay down here. But what I am saying, though, is if you couldn't get up for that Pitt game, if you couldn't get your defense to get it together at home for one game this year, I don't see how you flip that switch here against Georgia. And yeah, listen, Seth called it out last year. Close game, 8 overtimes. They tend to play these teams well. That's what happens in rivalry games. This is not a home game anymore. It's going to be at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So it's kind of a home game for both teams, being in Atlanta. But one of the things that really concerns me here, though, is you've mentioned the defensive struggles and what Georgia can do. But also, Georgia has a lot to play for here. Georgia's not messing around. They never really do. But, Georgia has the number 4 seed currently per projections. And so they have the last first-round bye. So they absolutely are going to be giving their best effort to get this done. And Kirby Woods is an absolute psycho when it comes to finishing the job. And we saw up 21-10 in the fourth quarter doing an onside kick against Texas. I mean, like, this dude is not messing around here. And so I don't know. I just don't know if this is the team, if you're Georgia Tech, that you can just flip this switch on a season-long problem, quite frankly, on the defense. I mean, we talked about, 41 points given the last 3 on average. You're allowing 7.7 yards per play since week 10. I mean, there's just a lot of holes here. And listen, Haynes King has been magical, probably the second most magical quarterback behind Diego Pavia this year. But I think this is where the clock strikes midnight, in my opinion.
99th in defensive success rate, 97th against the pass, and 94th against the run. Again, is Georgia Tech. So, and Georgia, they're top 20 in points per scored on offense. To your point, we gotta hope for some rivalry magic, like for some shit to happen in Georgia Tech's favor, because otherwise, on paper, this makes sense why this is a 2-score game.
Or it's a shootout, right? Like that's kind of what Georgia Tech, how they won these games, and obviously what happens when you get into shootouts is sometimes you just can't shoot out the other team, and so you lose, right? Which is effectively what happened again last week. But yeah, we make the number 14.5. That's the raw model number. So those early buys through 14 seem to make a lot of sense. I think we're probably at the peak of this market.
Yeah, makes sense. So all right, we'll see. That's not a Friday game, is it? I think that's a Saturday game. There's a couple good games Friday. Sure. All right, should be a good one though. What is this one called, Steve? I forgot to write that down. The hate
Clean
series?
old-fashioned hate.
Clean old-fashioned hate. Wow. All right.
Yeah.
It just means more.
Does Georgia Tech ever win though? That's the problem. They've covered a lot.
That's probably where the hate stems from. I bet you they started that. You hate what you can't be. You hate what you don't have, which is a good football team. So, all right, let's move on. We got a couple more. How about another in-state rivalry, huh? Texas A&M going up against the Texas Longhorns here. So, opened market standpoint, Steve, -2.5 in favor of the Aggies here. Touch 3 at circa for a little bit, but I think consensus now is kind of settling at 2.5 right now. From a team standpoint, Steve, like A&M clearly has the better offense per our numbers. They're the number 12 overall offense versus Texas, which is 34th. Both defenses are solid, but my question to you is, like, which do we trust more in this rivalry game here? Because AMU, is great in its own right. The one thing that concerns me, if I'm a Texas fan in this one, 95th in defensive success rate is Texas. So is AMU just going to have like this sustained drive success? Are they going to pull out a second half game against South Carolina? Like, what are you expecting out of this matchup in these defenses in particular?
Yeah, I mean, this will be pretty interesting because you look at these two teams and really a lot of similarities here. Having a stroke between these two teams here, both offensively and defensively, and that being that we don't know which team is going to show up consistently week in and week out. clearly with Texas, a lot of it has been centered around Arch Manning and, his play throughout the year. And, you can rely on this Texas defense. But even in the game against Vanderbilt, we saw Texas go up big and damn near lose that game in the second half. Ended up being a 3-point game when they were up by, was it 3 or 4 scores? And so, Texas defense isn't, infallible. Then the same thing with A&M. And we saw Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and Marcel Reed against South Carolina, where that was probably the worst type of football I've ever seen a quarterback play. 2 interceptions, a fumble recovered for a touchdown, and he couldn't make a pass to pretty much to save his life. And then again, in the second half, he came out and he just turned on a switch here. And so for me, I don't know who I necessarily trust more. I mean, I know there's a lot of rumblings about Texas A&M. If they win this game, they're going to be in the SEC championship game. But there's a lot of talk about how weak their schedule was compared to other teams there. And so this is going to be a great test to see who they really are. But, that being said, I think I have to trust A&M a little bit more here. It's as a team metric, just from what they've done overall. Again, it's against South Carolina. They're kind of a bottom feeder in the SEC. But if you look defensively, they're not too terribly far off. And thinking in defensive points per echo and some of the defense, I think defensive pass EPA. Where Texas is a better team here, but it wasn't like South Carolina or these kind of bottom feeders. And so you definitely don't want to get behind Texas. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that Reed and A&M can do that same thing against Texas they did South Carolina. No, that's a losing strategy. But I think overall, though, it does give you a little bit of hope that maybe if A&M offense falters a little bit, there could be a pathway back there. And then the other thing too was, again, we talk about this. I'm not putting too much, emphasis on these sort of narrative-based assessments here, but A&M can't really afford to lose this game, because if they lose this game, they are probably out of the top 4, which means their bye is gone, and they can drop down to as much as 5. And then on top of that, then they would need, I believe, Alabama would have to lose to Auburn, and Ole Miss would have to lose to Mississippi State for them to then get back into the SEC championship game. And interesting enough, Ole Miss plays before A&M plays on this game, so they'll know going in how much room for error they'll have. And so I think you're going to see a very focused and a very desperate team here to make history for the Aggies here. So
makes sense. Yeah. And Seth, I think I did misspeak earlier when I said, so Texas is the 95th offensive team in first success rate. So I think I said that backwards. So I guess asking my question a different way, the correct way to you, Seth, do you think that offense with Arch Manning can have enough sustained drives against this Texas A&M defense to pull out a win here?
Yeah, the model actually thinks maybe is the answer. We make this game exact a pick 'em is the raw model number. So really interesting here. And yeah, I don't know. I think that this Texas team is interesting. Obviously, they've underperformed what their expectations were going into the season. But I'm not sure they're one of the worst teams in the nation, as some people may say. Texas is still the 42nd overall passing offense. So Arch is not completely dog shit. He's serviceable. He's average.
He was at one point.
Yeah, fair. Well, he's bounced back. But they're 122nd running the ball. I think their success here has to come through Arch. They're going to have to throw this ball, and Texas A&M is 68th against the pass. So not only do I think it can happen, I think that Texas A&M's defense is susceptible to the pass. The interesting thing here that they're going to have to target, you called it, is finishing drive. Texas has to go all in on the pass. They have to have success there. They have to, finish these drives. And when we look at points per echo, they're 100th in offensive points per echo at 4.2 points. But Texas A&M's defensive points per echo is 5 points per echo. So if Texas can just play to TAMU's basically defensive points per echo, they actually will see an upgrade. So I think this game could be a lot closer than TAMU fans want it to be. And I think that Texas can definitely play spoiler here on Texas A&M's, Cinderella season.
We're all having episodes here. Jeez,
yeah,
rough one.
You know what the worst part about this is, though, is that if Texas beats A&M, technically speaking, they could be alive for the CFP. They will need chaos. Don't get me wrong. They would need a lot to go wrong, but they technically would still be alive, which is freaking ridiculous.
Give it to me. I would love it, because then it'll be an easy bet to bet against them.
Yeah, no, that's a fair counter. Yeah, I think I read today that technically speaking, again, not every team has the same odds, but there are 30 teams that have the potential to make the CFP based on scenarios starting this week. I mean, it's probably similar number every year. I venture, but
stay tuned. We're going to talk about the top 25 probability to make the playoffs and championship here in this show. So if you're interested, we ran the simulations.
Yes.
And I want to be clear,
it's not really 30 teams.
Yeah, I want to be clear. I'm all here for the anarchy. It's just the glazing of Texas I'm kind of over. But yeah.
No, see, I prefer the glaze because that's the best games. Like they're glazes for a reason.
Then there's spots. Baby.
That's got to be a t-shirt. Give me the glaze.
The glaze. The glizzy glaze. Yes. All right. A 2.5 spread in this one. Yeah, should be a fun, solid game. So, all right. Reminder to everyone: even though college football is winding down, college basketball is just ramping up. To anyone who's not aware, we just recently launched our college basketball product. It's live on our website now. btb-analytics.com is where you can learn more about it. And as a special for Black Friday, Thanksgiving, we are doing a one-time special. Use code BTB Friday on our website to get 50% off any order. There's various options for you guys. We have weekly long packages, monthly long packages, as well as season long packages. We price every single Division I men's basketball game for the entire season. There are thousands of games left to be played, boys. And you can see the edges on our website once you're a member. So looking forward to the rest of the season and how that all plays out. Excited to have this product up and available for everyone. So check it out if you guys are interested. 2 more games, boys. And I must say the next one here has the worst nickname in all of Rivalry Week. The game, Ohio State, Michigan. But they have, somewhat interestingly enough, like the best kind of like build up to the game in terms of the subterfuge and the antics, right? Like Ohio State's crossing out every word with the M on it type of stuff. Like that's the coolest thing, but I don't know how they landed on the game. I don't know where that came from. I probably should educate myself, but worst rivalry name in all of sports, but it has given us some.
Worse than the Egg Bowl?
I was just getting ready to say that.
That's big. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Big egg guy, I guess. I didn't know that.
Big egg guy. Okay. 100%, yeah. Nonetheless, this game, definitely has given us some memorable matchups in the past. Look no further than last year, right? So here we are, Ohio State versus Michigan. Market standpoint, Steve, open at 11 in favor of the Buckeyes. Looks to be settling around 10 now. Our model shows number on this. We are on this game plus 10.5, Michigan. And boy, oh boy, do I feel terrible about this one. So I want to talk to you guys. I want to get your guys' perspective on this one. Ohio State is, no ifs, ands, or buts, I think the most complete team in the country. They've from start to finish, right? The thing that's like I'm trying to latch onto a little bit here. This defense for Michigan is probably the best one that Ohio State has seen since week 1 against Texas. They're 33rd against the pass, 17th against the run, so very serviceable, right? But my question to you guys and to you, Steve, first is that enough? Is that enough for a cover in this one?
Oh yeah. What? Yes, absolutely. I mean, look no further than this opening at -11 to now it's -10 or +11 to +10. But on that thought, let's not look too much into it. But we know the DGens love the trends. Let's just start there, right? There is not a current undergrad on this Ohio State roster that has beaten the Michigan team, which is another fancy way of saying that Michigan has won this game 4 years in a row, which is absolutely insane. Ohio State won the first matchup when Ryan Day first started there, and he has lost every one since. And we've talked about this, with Penn State and James Franklin have a Michigan State and Ohio State problem or Michigan Ohio State problem and a big game problem. Ryan Day fully has a Michigan problem on his hand, whether it's Harbaugh, whether it's Sharon Moore. Yeah. He has not figured this thing out. And look at last year, right, where you had an unranked Michigan team really underperforming by all standards relative to Michigan football. And they went in to Columbus, mind you, and absolutely dominated this team. Even though the score is pretty close, 13-10, they really physically imposed their will. And what really struck me as odd about that game was it was the same kind of matchup, right? You see Ohio State was a complete team. They could throw the ball very well. Their defense was solid. And you thought, well, hey, if Ohio State is just blitzing teams with the pass and they can throw the ball and they can score a lot of points, and Michigan with Davis, Warren, or whoever else wanted to suit up for them that week couldn't do anything with the ball, just get ahead by 2-3 scores. You're going to force Michigan to throw the ball, and you have them right where you want them. And instead, Ohio State just got, I don't know if it was cockiness or whatever it was, but all of a sudden they decided, hey, you know what? We're going to run the damn ball all damn day, which is great for Big Ten football, but that's playing into the strength of what Michigan does. And we saw what happened there. And I look at this team again this year, where you look at Ohio State, like, yes, don't get me wrong, Ohio State can run the ball. They're a great team, right? I think they're 33rd in our database for rush EPA, but they're not used to running the ball. This is a pass first team. So when you combine that with Michigan still being a run first team, being very damn good at running the ball, and it's going to be 30 degrees, it's going to be snowing, and this game is in Ann Arbor, like, this has all the keys of a repeat of what we saw last year. Have Michigan dominate the time of possession, run the ball 3-4 times in a row, keep Ohio State's offense kind of off balance and off of the field, and this impose your will. And so, yeah, I think plus 10.5 is a great bet. Obviously, rolling it, I think plus 10 is a good bet. Hell, I think plus 9.5, plus 8, plus 7.5 is a good bet. But yeah, no, I mean, this is definitely what we see from Michigan. Again, last year there was a blueprint. You know, they had Kalel Mullins run all over this team. I think they'll do the same thing. Now, Justin Haynes being out for this game, out for the season, really definitely is a blow. But we saw Jordan Marshall have success here. We've seen Bryson Kutzall have success last week against Maryland. So make no mistake, this Michigan run game does not live and die with Justin Haynes. And so I expect more and more of that. And if you get, again, Ohio State to play outside of their comfort zone, I think that plays right into what Michigan wants to do.
Okay, Seth, to Steve's point there, and to, I guess, what his first one as well about the market, you know, slightly moving in Michigan's favor here. How is 10.5 the sweet spot for you, or how low is too low for this one? Do you think?
I mean,
is there any number you'd like under that for Michigan?
10.5, I think is where I feel comfortable, where the model feels comfortable. I think you push a ton at 10. Our raw model is 5.5. This is going to be one of the most liquid bet, markets that exist. So I don't know if this is the week to go alt season here. It's an extremely liquid market, but I think Steve has kind of highlighted the pathway for success, and it very much looks like the success Michigan is going to have running the ball, eating clock. And it's going to really come down to how successful can Ohio State be throwing the ball. In our database, Ohio State is the #1 passing offense, going up against 33rd passing defense for Michigan. So Michigan is good at stopping the pass, but they're not, top 10. But overall, this Michigan team is a good defense, and it's going to be one of the better defenses that Ohio State has played, like you've highlighted. To me, the concern for why this could get out of hand and so much pent-up aggression and rivalry for Ohio State is, can Michigan finish the drives? 95th in points per offensive equal. That's concerning to me. Ohio State and Michigan are both top 25 defensive points per equal teams. Again, good for defense on Michigan, but can Michigan's offense overcome Ohio State's defense? That's the thing I think that's going to be really important to see. Can they run the ball here? That's the $1 million question. If they can have success, sustain drives running the ball, it's going to be a long game, and Michigan no doubt has a chance to win this game.
Yeah, this game is in Ann Arbor too, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Man, yeah. I can't believe they upset them at Ohio State last year.
They've done it twice in the last 4 years. They've won 4 in a row.
Yeah, at least 2 years ago, or however long that they were, the #1 team. Or so they were a highly ranked team, right? Several years ago. Last year, they're unranked, to your point.
Yeah. And it was a 20-point spread. We were on Ohio State, I believe.
Yeah. So I'm with you guys. This one is shaping up to be the most wild. Like I could see definitely a tail outcome in this one way or the other.
Yeah. I mean, Ohio State winning at a 20-point dog is a pretty big tail. Steve, you called it out, though. It's really interesting how Ohio State's going to play this. Ohio State is a pass for offense, 8.3% pass rate over expected. So they're throwing the ball, yes, but they are throwing the hell out of the ball more than an average team. If Michigan can have any success there, is Ohio State even used to running it? Like, can they pick that up, so to speak? That's going to be interesting. But I think if we have all the degens out there, if you're live betting this, like if Ohio State can just slang the ball, I don't know. It's hard for me to see a world where Michigan is going to be able to stay in this game. I think if Ohio State has a lot of success throwing the ball, to me, I think one of those tail outcomes is, Ohio State by 20.
Sure.
Yeah, and then can I play the other head there, or other tail, I guess there? If you're live betting this and Ohio State is not foreseeing Bryce Underwood to throw the ball, I'm personally am going to take Michigan money line, because again, this is the same exact thing that we saw, where it's like, if you're going to keep Michigan in this game and you're not going to force them to throw, you're going to let them run. That is their pathway to victory. And so if Ohio State cannot get that figured out, and you let keep Michigan in this game, literally anything can happen. And it's not far-fetched. I mean, you said raw model was 5.5. It's not far-fetched that this is going to be under a one possession game, or within a one possession game.
Yeah. Plus 320. Plus 320 looks to be what you can get right now. Not willing to buy. Not willing to buy at those prices, Steve. What is that like? That's like 24%. That's what you're buying.
Well, let's get off the numbers, because I have some things on my sleeve. I have some things on my sleeve this week.
Damn, I showed the hand. All right, yeah. All right, we'll get there. Sounds good. All right, we got 3 good matchups in the books. We got one more before we talk about some off the numbers, before we talk about CFP update and Sims, as well as give out some free game from the model as well. So let's jump back to the SEC for one other matchup preview here. Vanderbilt going up against Tennessee. This opened largely minus 3.5 in favor of the Vols. Looks like a little bit of a buy down to -3 now across the market here. So, Seth, from a schematic, team-based kind of perspective, this is a shootout in the making. It appears so. The market, the total is at 65.5. This is a top 10 offense in Vandy going up against a top 10 in Tennessee here. So, which team? First of all, I guess, do you expect that outcome to play out? I guess, right now the market is, at least. But if so, if both offenses are going to be firing here, which offense do you give the edge to?
Yeah, I do think it's going to be a shootout, and the answer is pretty simple. I think it's got to go to Vandy. Vandy is our number 2 pass EPA team in offense, and our number 6th rush EPA offense. So Vandy is a top 10 offense, no matter how you slice it, and they can do both well. And we talked about Tennessee. They are really vulnerable on the defensive side of the ball. Now, Tennessee's offense is very good as well. Number 12 passing offense, number 19th rushing offense. And Vandy's even worse than Tennessee is on defense, 103rd against the pass, but they're okay stopping the rush, about 18th rushing defense there for Vandy. So I think it's clear Tennessee's going to want to throw the ball, and Vanderbilt's going to want to do whatever they want with the throwing the ball, rushing the ball. I think shootout all day. Both of these defenses are trash. Weighted EPA, Tennessee 92nd, Vandy 55. So for me, it's a shootout. Points per equal 32 for Tennessee, number 1 for Vandy. Vandy is the best team in the nation at finishing drives with a touchdown. Go Vols, anchor down, points.
Too much points in the direction in this one for anything but a shootout, it seems like. But yeah, so Seth mentioned it. Vandy's number 2 passing offense. Vols D is only at 52nd in our database. And then just again from a standpoint of allowing quality drives and just drives to have continued success, Tennessee 86th in our database as far as defensive success rate allowed, and Vandy's number 63. So, are you on board with the shootout idea here, or do you have a different take on this one?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, this game is called the Whiskey Barrel Bowl, which I think is very fitting, because points are going to come as easy as shooting fish in a barrel on this, because like you mentioned, these are 2 great offenses, 2 great quarterbacks in Diego Pavia and Joey Aguilar, going up against 2 really poor pass defenses. And when you look at this, I mean, I don't really know who I trust more, but I am with you that the idea of just taking the points seems like to be the safe thing, because you can see really this either team covering one possession cover here. So, but you look at this though, look at that Vanderbilt's offense for everything that Seth had already said here. Diego Pavia, we've been talking about him all year long, how great he throws out, how great he grades in terms of his actual statistics, how efficient their passing offense is. And then you look at Texas again. I call that Texas game where he had a really poor first half, and yet he had to throw a lot more because they were playing catch up. But they damn near came back and won that game, ended up losing by a field goal, after being down huge early on against what we all consider as a good, when they show up, Texas defense here. And so, that being said, you look on the other side, Joey Aguilar is no slouch in his own as well. I think what concerns me though is, again, I go back to that Texas game for the Vanderbilt defense, where I've admittedly been kind of an arch hater all year long. I think he's gotten a little bit better as the season has gone on, but to me, he's nowhere near a Heisman quarterback, and he had a ton of success. Over 300 passing yards, 3 touchdowns against this Vanderbilt defense. And so if Arch can do that, I can only imagine what Aguilar can as well. So, I mean, this one for me, just, obviously from the model standpoint, from a personal standpoint as well, it's kind of a stay away from a spread side. But yeah, I don't think points will be at a premium at all.
Let's hope not. Let's hope not. This should be a fun matchup. I would hate to see something like, I don't know, Minnesota and Northwestern happened last week, where all signs point to a defensive struggle, and then they just put up 70. They just doubled the total. What the hell? Just destroyed my off the numbers. So, all right, yeah, sounds good, boys. Should be a fun. Obviously, a lot more rivalry games on deck for this weekend. We're in Arizona. We got 2 U of A alums here on this call alone, on this podcast alone. So, the Territorial Cup is another big one that we'll be paying attention to, and we happen to be on the side on that one too. So, yeah, lots of good fun, lots of good matchups here this weekend. So, all right. Matchups in the books. Before we get to off the numbers and model plays of the week, let's talk about an update to the college football playoffs sims and odds. So we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, I think when the first or initial round rankings came out. And so let's pull up what we got a couple of graphics here we want to show you guys. And then Seth, yeah, you can I'll kick it over to you briefly here. Just a high level of what we're looking at here and how to kind of interpret the numbers from where we stand now.
Yeah, so we have the power rating, which is basically how many points a team is better than an average team, and this is basically how Vegas prices each spread. We get that question a lot. How does Vegas open the line? Power ratings, and you can see if you take the power ratings, Michigan versus Ohio State, what do you get? You get 10, and the market's 10. But anyways, that's what the power rating is. So you can see how relative these teams are. Now, the interesting thing about this is right now I am showing the 12 teams that are projected to be in the playoff, meaning these are the teams. You see Tulane, who's actually 23rd overall, is the 12th team in the playoffs. So you can see a huge drop off there. As of right now, they're forecasting Miami to make the ACC bid, which I don't think is possible because I think Miami is currently not in the ACC championship game. But anyways, that's how I'm pricing these. So playoff edge is your edge relative to the number you can get in the market. We can see the make playoff number. This comes from a simulation that we run using those power ratings. So there's a couple teams you can get some value on. Again, Miami being one of them, small edge on Alabama. Oregon stands out. And then the chip edge is the championship edge to bet those teams on the championship market. You can see there's a number of teams here. And then when we look at the blue chip, which is pulled up here, these are the teams that meet the blue chip ratio, meaning these are the teams on the small list at the beginning of the season. There were 18 teams that could win it all because of the blue chip ratio rule, which is that their last 4 years of recruiting have been 50% or more in 4- and 5-star recruits. These are the teams left alive, and you can see there's a value on 1, 2, 3 of them to bet. So if we go back one.
What are your guys' thoughts on Oregon specifically? Because I see that, and I did you guys? I don't know if you guys took any positions based on the numbers that were shown a couple weeks ago. I personally did not, but I'm looking at this Oregon team now, and I don't know, something about it. It feels like I want to hammer that, and I don't know why.
Because they played some pretty good teams and they beat them. I mean, right? That Iowa team was that game was a slugfest. They beat USC pretty handedly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I get that Penn State's not that impressive, but I don't think people understand how talented that roster is. And that was not an easy win for them. If we go 2 forward, we can see all 25 teams priced. For the CFP. There's a couple of outside looking in teams, but it's really tough to pull the trigger on them. Utah, you can see to make the playoffs if you have some big cojones. BYU.
This is where you need the chaos type of stuff happen, right? This does not mean take a Utah. Like you got to have some other things happen. other than just them winning.
Yeah. Well, you could see the implied probability is 37%. Now the market thinks there's only like a 10% chance. But yeah, that chaos could chaos. But yeah, you're only right like one out of every 3 times.
Yeah, and it's kind of a shame here. I'm kind of looking at this because I was looking at some tales earlier of making playoff and really look at the ACC, right? Because like you mentioned, so Miami technically is still alive, but they need everyone and their mama to lose next week. And so the odds of that happening are obviously fairly small. But looking at teams like Virginia and SMU, who essentially have to win and they're in for the ACC playoff, and then obviously the ACC winner will go get the automatic bid. You can see that both of those are negative edge currently at those prices. But then Pitt could also be one where Pitt technically, again, they need some help, but they technically could, not even technically, they could. They can, if they win and get either a Virginia loss to Virginia Tech or an SMU loss, I think, to Cal, which again, not very likely, but that's their pathway in. So I think looking at some of those teams, if they were better odds, I think something that I definitely want to play on, not for championship edge, but to make playoff, but we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. So after, I mean, so these type of markets too, we were talking about it right before we started recording. Some of them don't even exist anymore for a lot of these teams to make the playoffs because they're shoo-ins effectively.
The top 5 teams you basically cannot bet. So you can't bet Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, or Georgia. You can bet Texas Tech, but it's a horrible bet. If we can go a couple back to the main 12, I did find it interesting. Texas Tech does have some edge to win it all. As the most overrated team of all time,
that's a come up.
Yeah, don't make Kevin pull the tape.
So if I bet this, Kevin, does the world does that undo itself somehow?
Your sins will have been forgiven. Yes.
I don't know. I don't buy it. I think that this team can't win the national championship, but the numbers say maybe. The real team I'm really coming full circle on, if you really want to pull the tape, is Indiana. We've talked about how much we were saying that talent wasn't there. They don't meet the blue chip ratio, but them beating Oregon, I think, is a really big deal. We're going to get more and more data on this team, but they're only 2 points worse than Ohio State.
Yeah, which is impressive, to be honest, given how dominant and good Ohio State has been. So,
and not just impressive for how good they've been, but think about we had this matchup literally last year, and we were rightfully on this podcast saying that no, this is the next tier of talent, and like this Cinderella run is going to come to an end. Fast forward a year later, it's not like they're not a pretender; they are legitimately a contender. So hats off to Cignetti.
Yeah, 100%. So, all right, there's the update. So I think the final rankings will come out after the conference championship games. Is that right?
Yeah, we'll get some movement. We'll get movement this week. I mean, this week we'll put a lot of things into perspective for us.
For sure.
And then conference championship game next week. So we'll continue to keep everyone up to date. Right now, I don't know. For me, I don't think we already have a ticket, ironically, for the same exact price for Miami to make the playoff that we placed preseason. So I think we're got to go down with the ship. We can cash it out. I can cash it out for like 60% of its value. I don't know. I Ohio State feels like the best team to me, but negative 11%. Just
this price is not right. Price is wrong.
It's not
bitch.
right.
So, all right. Sounds good. So there's an update. We might have one more after next week for you guys. But like Seth said, we'll keep updated one way or another. All right. Before we get to the free model play of the week, here we go, boys. Probably, I would say, the last one of the year. Pull all the stops. I mean, we could do it for the conference championships, if you will, but off the numbers, 14 weeks in the making. And there's some separation, we'll just say. So I'll kick it off. I am 8-6 year to date. Slightly in the black here, just for about 1.5 units. I'm going Vandy money line. A lot of the reasons that we talked about earlier. Very comparable offenses and defenses. Again, neither much or not much to write home about, right? But effectively, our number makes this -1. Close to a pick 'em toss-up game, right? So there's a 1-score spread in the market, hasn't really moved all week yet. I'm largely saying that's a 50-50 outcome, and you can give me money line. I can buy it at 43.5%. So
yeah, raw number in the model is -2.5, Andy.
So that's plus 130 is the best number I saw in the market. I think, yeah, again, for, in my opinion, kind of a true 50-50 game. Price is right on this one. So Vandy money line. Let's go, baby. All right. So 8-6, that's where I'm at year to date. Steve, you got something for us, baby. You are 6-7 year to date on this one. So slightly in the red, but hey, last game of the season, can't hold anything back. What do you got, baby?
Yeah, I mean, we're certainly have to audit these numbers. But yeah, so with that being said, if this is actually the last week, then yeah, I'm gonna go swinging for the fences. And this was tough for me. So I wanted to hate so much. There were just so many good hating opportunities. I wanted to hate on LSU by taking Oklahoma. I think they're -10. I wanted to hate on Colorado because their defense is absolutely horrendous, and they've been getting blown out left and right against Kansas State. But I think I'm gonna have to swing for the fence here, and I'm gonna take Michigan money line plus. I think plus 320 ESPN bet is what I saw. And the logic here is this. I mean, this is a rivalry game. It's in Ann Arbor. It's gonna be snowing. It's 30 degrees. It's classic run the ball weather, which again is Michigan's identity. Michigan's coming in 4 games win streak in the series. Again, past games don't matter, but I think there's something with Ryan Day and the psychological warfare that Michigan has over him. So, give me Michigan to ride one more out over the Buckeyes. Give me plus 320 for what has to be the win here. We're going to audit your math here, but if you're saying that there's a cumulative, is it a 1 unit, 1.5 unit difference, 2 unit difference?
So I'm up 1.5. You're down 1.1 units.
Okay, with your extra bet, by the way, but we'll not discuss that now. But yeah, I think that would be enough to put me in the front. So I'm gonna go for I'm gonna swing for the fences.
Parlay that money line with Tennessee money line.
Just suck it to me.
Or parlay it with Vandy money line, and if Kevin wins and you win, then you win for sure.
No. I want to be the most humiliating, you suck at this kind of. No. I'm not. I've gotten cute all year long. This is me not getting too cute when the season on the line. So I'm going to go one game to rule them all.
Okay. All right. And Ryan Day, you do not trust. Fair enough. All right. And then here we are, week 14. Seth is 4-9 overall. Has not been a great year for him personally.
This is crazy. I've been literally taking plus 200 parlays. How many units am I down?
4.1.
Okay. Well, it is what it is. I'm not doing anything too crazy. I want to finish on a winner. Utah -11, -110.
Utah. So who is their rival? Utah's
the Holy War.
Oh, no, sorry. Oh my gosh, yeah. I don't know why
they're not playing BYU. They're playing Kansas.
Right.
Yeah.
Kansas is kind of a dead team. Model really likes this raw number. We make this 20.5. I would alt line it, but I don't have internet, so I can't. I don't have internet and I don't have sports betting, so
that's a double whammy. It's an unfortunate combo right there.
I'm basically living in the 1980s.
That is an unfortunate combo when you're in the South. All right, sounds good. At Utah -11, -110. Let's go out with the winner, like you said, boys. All right, off the numbers in the books, matchups in the books. Week 14 is on deck, but we got one thing left to do. Let's talk about some model plays. All righty. We didn't like we normally do technically discuss this pre-show, so we're doing it live, baby. Free model play of the week. I said we got some U of A alums here. It don't matter, baby. We are riding with the Devils. Fork 'em. I'm not a devil, but Arizona State +1.5 here. So yeah, obviously backup quarterback for ASU. Seth has been in for a couple of weeks now. They should have Jordan Tyson back another week after coming off his injury again. But a ranked territorial cup for I think the third time ever is what I read. So pretty fun, pretty exciting from that local perspective. But yeah, given the factors at play here, where's the value on ASU?
I don't exactly know. I didn't get a chance to look at that. I'm just gonna be honest with you on the at the raw data. But model likes it, so it's some combination of passing EPA, rushing EPA, success rate, these types of things. Yeah, no, it's tricky. This is a game, obviously, you don't want to be betting as UVA alum, but yeah, we don't bet with our hearts here. We bet with our wallets. I think you can even get 2.5, if I'm not mistaken.
Plus 2.5. Did the market move? Yeah, I last checked a couple of hours ago. So
okay, I've been briefly keeping an eye on it, but yeah, I mean, Arizona has been a tricky team. We've been on them and against them a couple of times. They whooped the shit out of Baylor last week, but if you actually look at the net success rate of that game, they barely won that game. So I think Arizona State here is the better side. Now we are getting a backup quarterback, which kind of sucks, but they've actually had a backup quarterback for about half the season now. So I think that's why we felt comfortable betting it, even though that is the case.
No 2.5s. No 2.5s look to be available.
Okay.
Yeah, so back to 1.5. And then our model number as it stands now, regress. We make the number -2.
Yeah, I thought about giving out a money line
ASU
here, but not even. But it probably should have. There probably is better value on the money line, to be frank. Off the numbers,
yeah. Right.
No, I think it's a highly consider playing.
Yeah.
We make the raw number is 8.5 Arizona State.
Jeez. Okay.
But you don't have Sam Levitt, like
So
the problem is, how many games did Sam Levitt play? He didn't play that many games.
Yeah, I'd have to look it up, but I think this might be the 4th or 5th game for the backup in total year to date.
He got injured mid game and early in a game. Like I think it's like half the season.
You could be right. Nonetheless. All right, ASU plus 1.5. That's what we're on. Free model play of the week here. Let's take a quick look, at the rest of the card and what we're on for week 14 here. So officially we got I think I mentioned at the top 6 plays that we're on for a rivalry week on this one. So should be fun. This should be fun. Year to date again, we're hitting 59.2%. We're a winner, baby. Another profitable, guaranteed in the books winner for college football for us. 61-42 overall so far. Yeah, there might be you might have a better sense of it, Seth, but maybe a dozen or so, more plays between now. If joking on myself. Maybe if you include this week or not, but yeah, because obviously all that's left is the conference championship games, and then we'll have bowl games as well. But and then
we'll price all the rest of the games, the playoffs. I think it's a really great time to use the Black Friday sale, 50% off. Now's the cheapest time you can get our access to our models, which are winning at 60% in college, 60% in the NFL, and ironically, pretty close to 60% in college basketball. So I think it's like about $150 to get in there for the rest of the season. You get all the NFL, all the rest of the college. But yeah, we'll price every bowl game, every playoff game, conference championship. You can get these week's games. I don't exactly know where there'll be value, where there won't, but at least you'll have a price for every single game. So use the code BTB Friday. I think it's a huge opportunity. It's the cheapest we've ever done it. We've never done a Black Friday sale, but we're grateful. Come win. It's better on this side, I promise you. Winning money is a lot. That's how people always ask me what my team is. We just told you we went to the University of Arizona, and we're betting on ASU.
We're team Greenbacks.
Team Greenbacks.
Oh man! All right, yes. Shout out, echo all of that, echo everything that Seth says. So should be an absolutely fun weekend, guys. Appreciate you guys hanging out in the chat with us. Thank you for tuning in. Happy Thanksgiving to all. We will be back next week. Conference championship games on deck, baby. So looking to hopefully we'll be back talking about another profitable weekend as well. Either way, there's lots more season to still be had. So appreciate everyone tuning in. Thank you for everything. Happy Thanksgiving. Good night. Good luck. We'll see you.